I think a lot of people may have been surprised to hear, at least I was, the genetic component that you wrote about.
Right. Right. And I think that's the new research is coming to that way. And, the question is, how do you prevent those genes that should be turned off from being turned on? And a lot of it has to do with relationships. So that key relationship with Leon's mother for early childhood, from the birth to age 3, the children are developing in a snap of a finger 700 neurons per second in their brain. Okay, so that's the whole information superhighway in your brain. The thing is, it doesn't develop on its own in a vacuum. It develops through positive relationships with mom, dad, caregivers, language, lullabies. So those things are happening early on, and if a baby doesn't get that kind of attention, if mom or dad are too stressed, or there are other factors going on, or there's an absence of attention, that causes stress. And those stress hormones, the neural connections start to develop to deal with stress versus positive relationships. And then genetically, the same type of stress hormones, and they're even finding some instance of this crossing over in the womb before birth, is turning on and off different types of genes. And one of the ones that was most striking to me, and I think just disturbing, is that children still in the womb, a fetus, developing fetus, is having a gene, I can't remember if it's turned on or off, and that's my lack of science.
You're doing fine.
They're priming for stress, thank you. It's a gene that would help the baby or a child moderate stress.
They're coming out of the womb at a disadvantage?
They're coming out of the womb primed to deal with stress versus, they're more stressed. Yeah.
Well, and Carter's work, I think, represents another angle on genetics, Casey, which is that, if you consider that a majority of the influence on mental illness is conferred by genetic factors. Not all of it, but truly a majority of what we know of what causes mental illness. And having that kind of liability is influenced very strongly by genetic factors. You can imagine a child who has inherited a genetic liability for an adverse life outcome like a mental illness. When you compound that with these unimaginable levels of stress that are continuing to sort of compromise their system, compromise their ability to adapt, those are individuals who are born, in a sense, with an inherited liability that makes these kind of life experiences even harder on them. Let alone just the direct effects of a stressor on these, genetic modifiers of how a person handles stress and experience. There are children who are born with these kind of liabilities, and really, if they were protected, they would have much better outcomes. But if they're not protected, they're liable on the basis of these same factors that we've known about for a very long time.